Hello everybody, my name is Bucky. Welcome back to the Long Way YouTube channel. On today's episode will be episode 2 of our 5-ton crew cab build, and we're going to go into some really technical aspects of how to get the passenger floor done. I wanted to apologize up front. A lot of the camera angles are a little bit off. I'm zoomed in a little bit too close. Working through some of the editing, so any kind of comments you guys can give me would be very helpful. And just want to let you guys know on the front side that really trying to make things better for y'all. So whatever you guys give me from advice, I'd appreciate it. So enjoy the video. Here we go. I don't have any video where we put the floor together, so I wanted to just talk real quick about what happened. We cut the squares out. They were perfectly square. We got the rosette welds all drilled in with the drill press sitting there in the floor. Obviously wanted to save my back, so I figured out a way to put it there against the toolbox, and then we got them all welded in. We did realize that the holes were a little bit small. The rosettes weren't sticking very well, so we raised that up to a little bit bigger drill bit, and it made everything tighten up real good. So now we can move on and start working on the front of the truck. All right, guys, I wanted to show you what it looks like before we put the floor down on the front side. Up against this door jamb, I know the light's terrible, I'm sorry. We had to cut most of the angle iron that held this door jamb to the floor. So what we're going to do here, just as a means of me being, I overdo everything, I'm going to go in here and tack what's left of this door jamb to the inside, and then we're going to put the floor down with a gap, and then there's going to be another piece of angle that's going to weld to this and go back down over the floor. But I wanted you guys to see what we started with so we can appreciate what it looks like when it's done. We're going to run that piece all the way up here, and then we'll figure out how we're going to patch this here. How do you line this up so that it falls right in and you can do all your welds, and it tapers in 3 inches there, and it's got a dash there that you got to go around. So I'm going to kind of show you how I do it. So you know your known distance here to here to match your other seam. That's about 37 inches. And then you need to figure out the length. So we know we're going to go to the inside of that. Sorry for all the camera movements, y'all. That's going to be about 37. But over here, we've got all of that rot we've still got to deal with over there. So as we come back here, it's looking like 39. So at 39, we know that in that corner there, it'll be far enough to go to where we're going to add it on, but then we're going to have to cut some off of here. So it's really easy to screw this up, and if you're short on metal, you've only got one chance at it. You got to make sure you're doing it right. So I'm going to set you guys down and get this piece up here and show you how we do it. All right, so I'm back here. I've got this piece down. It's within a 16th there, and it's going to lay down in there. And then I've got it slid over to where it's touching there. So this is the part we've got to cut out. And then we've got to take a little bit out up there. A really easy way to screw this up would be to do kind of like I almost did here and scribe this like I did. Say we want to take that out so we can scoot that down a little farther and get a little bit closer to our finished dimension. But this still has to go over that many inches. So that's, take a square and that's 4 inches. If you cut that off and slide that over, you're going to have a big gap over here at the floor where you cut that out. So make sure that you're really aware of exactly what you're doing before you cut. You want to make sure that you understand where everything's going to end up. So if we're touching there and we're square here, then all we have to do is find something that's at least this width or exactly this width, and then you just go down there and scribe you a line all the way back with it. I'm going to show you what that looks like. All right, so I'm back here to show you guys kind of how we want to do this. We know we've got a whole bunch of taper as it stands between here and there, between here and there. And there's all kinds of different ways you could do this. I made this handy dandy compass for drawing circles and stuff. You can set it for 4 inches and come in here and line it up against where you're going to be welding at like this, and just drag it. Just make sure it's level and square. You don't want to be out here, straight square with it and draw your line. But really, you could go by, you could sit here and make a template out of cardboard. There's 100 different things you could do. Easiest thing I've found is just get you a piece of wood, cut it to whatever you want it to be. We got 4 inches to set your pin right there. And we're not really going to get a whole lot here because it's going to deduct back here. But if you just start right here, make sure you're staying at the front of where your block is. Kind of what our mark's going to look like. You can kind of ad lib a little bit here. That's going to allow us to take into account the imperfections in this side and pull it in nice and tight. And once we do that, we can go up and make our marks up here on the other side where this doghouse is. We can make our marks there to get back and get the part we're going to do there. Then once we do all that, we'll come in here, we'll drill the holes for the fenders, and then we'll drill out our hole or cut out our hole for the transmission tunnel. All right, I'll catch back up to you guys here in a minute. All right, so we've got that back piece marked and we got it cut and we've got it close enough to the wall right here. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. We've got it all cut out and it looks good. Cut it out on the plasma cutter, and we're going to go over here and do this one now. So you want to do the good eyeball test. We're lined up pretty good on the bottom of that, not necessarily the doghouse, but down there on the bottom of that truss. And then you'll look over here. We've got this pretty much squared up. We're going to have to do right at 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to attempt to show you guys how to kind of shoot from the hip here. We know it's 1 3/4 inches that it has to come in, but how do we know how to make this turn? So I'm going to go down here to the floor and I'm going to mark 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4 inches, 1 3/4 inches. And it's going to start turning right here. So I'm going to try to be at a 90-degree angle with the turn every time I make a mark. It's going to turn there, turn there, turn here. It's going to flatten out. So that's going to kind of look like you put the dots together. It's going to kind of look like that. Come down here and do 1 3/4 inches again. So a lot of this stuff, when you're doing this, it's not going to be straight. I'd call that a win. We're right in the middle of the beam, right around there, so we can tack that all in, and all the way in here so we can hit that door down. Good call. To show you guys a quick shortcut too, we're working on this passenger side floor pan. We've got everything marked out, but on the underside there's some of these nuts that are welded in that hold the fender on. So get it set up like you want it. Go underneath there with some spray paint. Spray paint the holes. It'll tell you exactly where to drill your holes and put your nuts in or your bolts in. Now that we've got the panel cut to size and all drilled out for rosette welds and got primer on the bottom, we can sit in here and see how we did. Tell you what, I think we did all right. Our side piece over here, where we're going to tack it to the side, all lands good. We've got good spots to land here for our rosette welds, and then we've got our door for our transmission tunnel all squared away. The only thing we have left to do is to put some welders in behind that so we can land that perfectly there, and to put one right up there in that front piece of channel. All in all, looks really good. With these last areas ready to be welded in, I'm going to go ahead and get these welder pieces added on to the floor so we can make sure that we got good places to weld to. This is going to go right up there in the front and land right there in front of that doghouse where we can't tack it all the way up where those bolts are. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on time lapse and get that knocked out. That way we can get this front floor done and start on the fun stuff. I'm pretty excited about this. I've got everything ready to be tacked on, or everything already tacked on. I've got my strips welded in there. I'm ready to set this piece on. This is the first piece of difficult floor ready to go. And once I get this piece in and tacked down, I can go after this piece that's got the shift lever and the low shift lever, the air brakes, and the gas pedal. And then that'll be the last piece I put in over there. So I'm really happy to get this first piece in. This bolt's pretty messed up and cross-threaded, so I'm going to have to use one of the nicest tools in the shop. how you do that. Get those welded in. So these are the bolts that I turned on the lathe to pull them out of the old floor pan. This is where they go. They hold that inner fender. They hold the inner fender up. I think I got one bolt that's not quite lining up. It's off by about that much. Okay, well, I think we got something for that. I bet this will do it. And just like that. All right, so I'm going to take and make sure we're lined up. The transmission hole looks good. We've got something to weld to all the way around. I'm going to make sure we're squared up and true. And I'm going to get this buzzed in, and we'll come back and see you guys when I get it done. I'm gonna tell you guys, that's pretty satisfying, actually putting some bolts back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing all tacked, and we'll move on to the next side. I want to go here and show you guys what that inner fender bolts look like on the bottom. Got them in there and got them nice and tight. Everything looks good under here with the primer. But I got a little crazy with the air hammer, and I bent that down so our floor is not going to meet like we want it to. So I'm gonna have to take the 2-pound pecker and get that pushed back up. So we'll get that knocked out and show you what it looks like when it's done. That'll do it. Got that pushed back up where we can get it tack welded and get that top piece brought down. That's gonna look real good when it's done. Well, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I did everything except this seam right up here. I'm gonna have to do something different coming down from the top, but I was able to get this door seam welded in fairly good. I need to grind it down a little bit because that was pretty dirty where the rust was. I couldn't get it all clean. But everywhere where we put our spot welds in landed right nice, and it's nice and sturdy. We got the fender support bolts in intact, and I am really happy with the result. Now we get to start on those two panels, which are gonna be pretty technical, but they're both be fairly square, and then the corner one will still have that taper. So really, really happy with the results. And I'm fixing to tack this down. You guys can see it's sticking up a little bit. So I get extra points for creative use of a body deck. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down so that it's even on the bar on the bottom. Okay, so I've got this all tacked in like it needs to be, and then you guys can see how this is going to look really nice. All that rust will disappear whenever we get the trim pieces put on. I'll cut a piece of this in here, go down just like that. I'll kind of cut it to where it fills in this spot here, and then we will weld this entire seam up, and it'll all just disappear, and it'll look totally awesome. So this piece is in and done. I've got stuff clattered everywhere, but you guys can get a look at it. So, yep. On to the next piece. Well, gentlemen, that took entirely longer than it should have. And the reason is, I know that looks pretty bad, but it's welded all the way. It's just a reflection of the high spot. It's welded all the way through once I get it primed. You guys probably saw it before I started welding. I had that little gap here and there. And when I started welding, it started blowing out. And just learn from me, your fit up is key. If you don't get it fit up just right, you're going to pay for it in grinding wheels and lung damage. Ask me how I know. So this is ground down. I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at here. I've got the piece of trim that I'm going to use to kind of finish this off. You guys can see it. That's how it's going to look when we get it done. We're going to cut that piece to go there, and then all the way down this door jamb. That's going to reconstitute some of the strength that we pulled out whenever we took that, cut this piece off. So I'm going to get this cleaned up and get a couple of pieces started here, and then we'll bring you back and let you guys see it. Hey everybody, wasn't able to get the trim piece done. It was a little bit more technical and took a lot more time than what I wanted to put on this video and make it longer. So we're going to add it to episode 3 whenever we do the driver's side. A lot more technicality there. We've got 4 or 5 holes that have to be in the right spot, a gas pedal that has to bolt on from the bottom side with a captured nut, and the emergency brake and the low gear shifter. Those are all things that are going to be in episode 3, so be on the lookout for it here in about a week. If you like what you're seeing, please hit the subscribe button. I played a little joke on everybody and you subscribe, nobody caught it. So hit the subscribe button. Like it, share it, and leave a comment. If there's something you guys want me to do other than this, we can tackle anything. We can do woodworking, we can do maintenance, anything you guys want to do on the channel, we'll do. So be looking for that video, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Man, that city life must suck big time. All dressed up with your pink martinis, bitching about your life. You need to head out to the boondocks, cause out here we have a good time all day long. And we don't wait till 5 to put on a smile.